2022 is nearly over, and one thing you can say about this year as far as professional wrestling goes, it has been a goddamn whirlwind, taking us from over here and moving us around and spinning us around, and we go goddamn crazy, and we don't know which way is down, which way is up. We don't know if we're going up, down, left, right, BA star. We don't have a goddamn clue what day it is, but we know one thing. We love professional wrestling. By we, I mean any wrestling fans, whether you've been watching for a year, you've been watching for many years, if you're like me, and I know I am, even though you may get frustrated with some of the bad shit, when professional wrestling's done right, as far as match quality, crowd reactions, storytelling, all these things, human centipede together in a perfect store, in a perfect ball of energy, professional wrestling is just so goddamn entertaining, and it's impossible to encompass every single great or incredible match that has occurred across multiple companies on multiple continents, but I'm going to try anyway, and I really want to know what you guys have to say because there's so much great wrestling, it's impossible to keep up on all of it, but let's get started. And I'm John Redland with my 30 favorite wrestling matches of 2022 with some honorable mentions. So yes, once again, please let me know in the comments what you have to say. I really wish I had time for companies like Stardom and others, but it's just, in all honesty, I mean, I have to work and I need sleep, and I've seen some matches from Stardom, and I appreciate what they do, and I appreciate, there have been, on the indies, the New Japan Strong tapings that I went to in historic Washington Hall, which I always put up because, honestly, that building is really, really, I mean, it's a cool atmosphere. Stairs fucking suck. If you've been in Washington Hall, then you know. But the whole point is professional wrestling is so goddamn great when it's done right. And so many great matches have occurred. So many great matches because there's so many hardworking men and women, so many hardworking LGBTQ talents that deserve to be recognized, and so many people that will never get the full recognition that they deserve. So I really want to know your favorite matches. It doesn't matter what company, it doesn't matter what indie, I really want to know. So let's get to the honorable mentions. Naito and Sonata versus Okada and Tanahashi from the New Japan Golden Series on February 13th of this year. Obviously, it would be a bit weird if I chose a match from last year, and considering they didn't have the Golden Series last year, it would be a bit weird to just make it up. This was a really enjoyable tag match with star power, and even though Tanahashi's knees are held together with super glue and duct tape and paper clips, when you get this collection of talent and you let them roll, they are going to just tell an incredible story, and they did, and this was really good. Now, New Japan has had its issues, and will continue to have its issues, because unfortunately, there's a stark contrast between the good and but this was an example of the really, really good stuff. By the way, the least favorite matches list will come up shortly after this. Bianca and Bayley, last woman standing, a crown jewel. Okay, I was going to put this on in the top 30. I had to put other matches up there because, honestly, the reason that this is down here in the honorable mentions, I felt they used a little bit too much furniture, but they tried to blow off the feud as best as they possibly could, and I can't fault the effort. And then we get Suzuki versus Hiromu, New Japan Cup Night 7. I mean, it was Hiromu showing up against Suzuki, and this is pretty much, I think, Suzuki's last hurrah. If he wrestles past next year, I will be amazed, even though he's legit tough. I think he's going on his final tour, and then maybe might end up retiring by Wrestle Kingdom. Might be in one more G1, and then might retire at Wrestle Kingdom in 2024. But this was cool to see. Will Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr. G1 32, night 12. Look, I'm not the biggest. Ospreay is kind of. I've made my opinions on Ospreay, no, but I can't knock the talent because Ospreay is just really, really talented. And Zack Sabre Jr. works well with him. And Zack Sabre Jr. is one of my favorite wrestlers, has been, of the last few years. And this was really, really good shit. This was really, really well done stuff. Great clash of styles and well worked. And then we get Will Ospreay versus Okada, G132, the finals. Again, so much great wrestling. I mean, you could argue these should have been on the list, and I wouldn't argue against that at all. It was really well worked and didn't go... It didn't seem to, in my opinion, drag like their stuff at Wrestle Kingdom, which I felt was good, but I felt went a bit too long. This was really good stuff, and it was Okada getting another dance with glory and everything, for he is Okada, and we will praise him. But honestly, him and Ospreay worked well here. It was good stuff. Number 30, Hiromu versus Despy, El Desperado, for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, Wrestle Kingdom 16, Night 1. And this is just great. Despy's been having a career few years. Hiromu and him cutting a great pace. I still remember when Despy got unmasked, and I'm looking, I go, now why is Despy hiding that face? Because he could be somebody that could really shine with or without the mask. But nevertheless, we know what he looks like. It was cool shit, and this match was great of them just laying their shit in, going all out in the dome, in that great atmosphere, even with the crowd being limited. It was still great stuff. And then we get to number 29, Naito versus Okada, IWGP title, New Japan Golden Series. And look, they faced off against each other a lot, and I mean a lot, but they always had good matches, good to great matches. This was one of the better ones, and again, even though it got a little repetitive with them facing off a little bit too often, it was still really good stuff, and you can't help but enjoy it. You just can't help but enjoy this stuff. Even with Naito, I think, getting to the point where he's going to start sliding down the card, because as big of a star as he is, his knees are pretty shot. Great stuff, though. And then we stick with New Japan, Okada versus Cobb. It is from the New Japan G132, Night 1. And the finals of, it was one of the block finals last year. And Okada just shining like only he can. And Cobb just really showing off here. This was great shit. I really enjoyed this. And the fact that Cobb is just shining so much in New Japan, I'm so happy for him. I wish that he had almost gotten a bit more of a singles run, but him and Okan, all hail, are a great tag team as well. So that's why this match is on this list. Even if it's lower than maybe I would have liked it to have been, still got to praise it. And we go number 27, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kenta. G1 Climax 32, Night 2. I mean, it's Kenta, even with his injuries, he can still show up and show off. And Zack Sabre Jr. just being great with all the shit that he does. It's impossible to watch a Zack Sabre Jr. match, at least most of them, and not enjoy them. I mean, if he's facing Evil, Jesus fucking Christ, even the vegan-powered submission master that he is, he can only get so much out of somebody that isn't very good anymore. But this was one of the examples of being really good shit. And then we go to number 26, Dax versus Will Ospreay, Dynamite Road Rager. And Dax could make a case for one of the best singles wrestlers of the year. Great shit. Well done. FTR, my favorite tag team by far this year. And this was good stuff. It was really well done. It was during the brief excursion, I guess, so to speak, that Ospreay made to AEW. Good stuff. Well done. Really enjoyed it. Great TV match. Great TV match. This is what I like about AEW. When they want to let people show off, they really do some great shit. And then we get Tyler Bate versus Rex Steiner, a.k.a. Braun Steiner, for a unification match. UK and NXT championships being unified. Human Centipede together. NXT Worlds Collide. NXT Worlds Collide wasn't a bad event. This is the one that stuck out the most to me. I really enjoyed this one. And it ended up being goddamn well done. I don't know what's going to happen with the various UK talents. I don't know if they were just brought over to do this stuff and then they're just going to go back and be part of NXT Europe, which I think is going to end up being a goddamn mess. But this was really good stuff. It reminds you how great Tyler Bate is, and Tyler Bate is only, 25, 26? Maybe not even that. Maybe he's just 25. He's just really good. And Steiner is just incredible for the fact he literally started wrestling. He got into wrestling, in February, March of last year? And he's this good. Rough around the edges, but he's just got that natural Steiner Moose strength. Number 24, we get to the women now for a little bit. We get Becky versus Bianca versus Asuka in a three-way match for the Raw Women's Championship. These women in a three-way. Becky and Asuka tangling up and scissoring each other. And I'm fine. In all seriousness, it was at Hell in a Cell. And it was good stuff. It was really good stuff. This was pretty much this to me was a shining example of the Hell in a Cell. And no, Cody versus Rollins in Hell in a Cell, where Cody had a torn pec, is not on this. It's not that I don't appreciate the effort, but I stand by the fact that I said Cody was monumentally stupid for doing it. Now, these women did great shit. They did great shit. They had the crowd into it. Maybe not into it the whole match, but with these three talents, it's hard to beat, this level of talent. And it was great shit. And it continued Bianca being a champion, doing great stuff. And she continues to do great stuff. And hopefully is going to hold the championship until she faces Rhea Ripley at Mania 39, night 1 or 2, and loses it. And then it will be basically a full year being champion, or close to it. And then we get to number 23, Becky versus Liv for the Raw Women's Championship at day one. To me, this is pretty much the only match from day one that I remember. The 5-way was fine, but Liv showed, okay, you could argue that maybe this match shouldn't be ranked this high, and I would say my list, I'm going to make the rules that I want. Liv showed up. She did some great stuff here, proved that she belonged, and Becky did everything she could to make Liv look like a credible threat, as Liv was on the rise by this point before she won the Money in the Bank for the women. It was good stuff. But where she won the Money in the Bank for the men. Liv Morgan's cashing in. She just beat Roman Reigns. I fought for that. It'd be interesting. But good stuff and well worked. Number 22, Roman versus Seth for the Universal Championship before they unified it, stupidly, at the Rumble. Seth doing the Shield walk, and yes, I'm ranking this lower because as great as this was, and this match popped the crowd, it got the crowd awake, then it killed the crowd at the end because of the DQ finish. Now, I understand why they did the DQ finish. It was a bit out of nowhere, but it also made sense. Because it was like, Roman still can't beat Seth, he still can't beat him. But it was good stuff. I really, really enjoyed this because how could you not? And yeah, it's ranked a little bit lower because of the finish, but it was still well worked. And then we get back to New Japan 21, Okada versus Despy, New Japan Cup Night 1, Junior Heavyweight versus the god of professional wrestling, Okada. Not Kenny Omega, but Okada. Hugely enjoyable. Despy, again, having a career few years, shining against the best in New Japan and one of the best in the world, in my personal opinion. And Despy can make a case for being one of the best wrestlers in the world as well. I wish that AEW had featured him better on the Forbidden Door show, but nevertheless, great stuff, and it proved that Despy does belong. Number 20, that is Becky versus Bianca for the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Cementing the full year of Bianca, well, almost a full year of Bianca getting revenge and then ultimately cementing and putting down Becky, taking down the leader of the Lynch. No, not going to do that, even though you know where I'm saying. And then Damage Control shows up while Bayley, Dakota, and Io show up. Becky stands with Bianca, even though she has a separated shoulder. And it wasn't as good as their other match, but it was impossible to come out, match that, but they did damn close. This was a show-stealing match at SummerSlam, which was a pretty good overall premium live event until Brock decided to bring out a piece of farm equipment and just lift up the goddamn ring because he is the Bork Laser and he will do what he wants. Number 19, Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb for the AEW Women's Championship at AEW Double or Nothing. While I loathe to praise Serena Deeb because of who she's married to or dating, at least who she was associated with. I don't know if her and Marty Scurll actually are together anymore. If so, she's a piece of shit for supporting him. That being said, she is great in the ring. And Thunder Rosa, and I fucking love Thunder Rosa. What a talent. What a great talent. And she had a great reign as champion when she was allowed to go out there and wrestle. I mean, they should have featured her a little bit more, let her do open challenges, let her boost the women's division. For somebody of her talent, she could do that. And her and Serena Deeb had one of the best matches in AEW of this year. It was just, in my personal opinion, it was well done, well worked. And again, while I loathe to praise Serena Deeb because of the type of person she is, I can't knock the fact, if I'm going to grade on a curve, I gotta be honest when people are really goddamn good. And Thunder Rosa got a lot out of Serena Deeb. It was well worked, great chemistry, and that's why it's here. Number 18, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Pheasant Rollins, at Mania Backlash. Okay, you could argue that maybe the Mania match should have been on here. You could argue the Hell in a Cell match should have been on here. I feel the Mania Backlash match was the best of them. You can fight me in the comments, that's okay, but it's just my opinion. It was well worked, and I can't really say much about these guys, but it was just very, very well done. And they do have great chemistry. They could run this back at some point. Cody is no doubt going to be back by the Rumble. If he isn't back by the Rumble, I will be amazed. And keep it a secret, or at least keep him off TV and have him show up wrestling as more than one royal family, and the Alamo Dome will explode. With joy, hopefully not actually. We don't really want that. But number 17, FTR versus Cobb & Khan for the IWGP Tag Team Championships at Battle Autumn. That was November 5th. It was just under a month ago. I want to say right now that this event, a little funny side story. We had a really, really bad windstorm that knocked out the power from late Friday on the 2nd until early Tuesday, and I was out of power for like 76 hours. I was able to watch Crown Jewel and review that, and able to watch this at work on Monday because I was having a goddamn stressful time. And then we were able to, and then I was able to review this. Fortunately, we got it back. Everything's good. Don't worry about it. And I thank everybody for checking in on me during that time. Now, this was a great goddamn tag match. It was working on the bigger guys, knocking them down, chopping Cobb's knee, and FTR could work with just about anybody, and seeing them in the New Japan ring in Japan was really cool to see. And they're apparently going to be part of Wrestle Kingdom. So great. Good. You know what? I love FTR. I'm really, really happy for them. Number 16, sticking with tag teams, Thunderstorm, Thunder Rosa, and Toni Storm against Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. It's Dynamite from August 3rd of this year, and let me tell you, man, this is what they could do with their women's division if they tried. Instead of featuring people that aren't that good in the goddamn ring, not mentioning any Jade Cargill, I mean anybody in particular, even though she has a great presence. This was great stuff because it was just these two teams, these four women just going at it. It was massive. Jamie Hayter was getting big reactions. The crowd was into it. It was well paced. One of the best women's matches of the year. One of the best women's matches that AEW has done in their short run time, in my personal opinion. And it was great stuff. It involved, when Britt Baker is the least of the talents in your ring, but she still was showing up and doing stuff, that was saying something. And this was almost a coming out party for Jamie Hayter, who is now the current AEW Women's Champion. And it was just great to see. And Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm as a team, I would like to have seen them face off. That didn't happen. I hope Thunder Rosa recovers from her back injury, but I gotta praise this tag match again because it was good. Speaking of things I'm gonna praise, Dax versus CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk. AEW Dynamite, March 23rd. It was Punk wanting to work with the people that he wanted to work with. Great wrestling. Great stuff. This is coming off of the MJF feud right after Revolution. More on that in a bit. And just great shit. My God, they just tore the goddamn house down. As you would expect with these guys. Dax making a case for, again, being one of the best singles wrestlers of the year and being one half of the best tag team in wrestling today. And Cash Wheeler is no slouch as far as being a singles wrestler. He's great as well. I wish he got some more chances to shine. But this is great stuff. A great TV match, and Punk beating him, but it was just well worked. And Punk's matches made sense. We won't see him in AEW again. I would be amazed. I would be amazed if we did. But it was a great match. And then we get to number 14. Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter, AEW Women's Championship at AEW Full Gear. While there were things I did not like about Full Gear had some good matches. And that's why I'm praising this one here. Sure, the interference got a little bit out of control. You can check out my review of AEW Full Gear for that, for full thoughts, but they cut a really good pace on the crowd. Wanted Jamie Hayter to win. The crowd wanted Jamie Hayter. I concur. Back to the match. They just cut a great pace, and Jamie Hayter winning, even with all the interference, and sure, it got a little bit ridiculous, but they make the referees look ridiculous anyway. Boom. Jamie Hayter winning. Huge pop. Well deserved. Nothing against Toni Storm, but this was great shit. And then we get to number 13. MJF versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. So that's also at AEW Full Gear. And okay, now that it seems like as of this recording, William Regal is likely gone from AEW. It is what it is. He was able to help MJF win here, and huge pop from the crowd. But this was good stuff. MJF can get the most out of anybody and keep people level despite being so young, and he can just work with a variety of people. And Moxley, when he wants to, actually can wrestle. He doesn't just do the stuff where he goes outside, throws people in the crowd, hits people with furniture, chairs and tables and stuff like that, and doesn't do the garbage championship wrestling stuff, because that's what GCW is. I'm sorry to anybody that works there that actually has talent. It's not even a knock on the people. It's a knock on how the promotion presents itself. That being said, MJF and Mox cut a great pace. Check out my Full Gear review and you can find out my full thoughts, but great stuff. Number 12, Moxley versus Danielson at AEW Revolution. I enjoyed this match better the second time around, even though I enjoyed it first really well the first time around. Great pace, great wrestling. Danielson, again, like MJF, got a lot out of Mox, and they did great shit. Well worked. Loved it. And then the Blackpool Combat Club, they formed, and there you go. It was just great. It was great shit. Danielson and Moxley, they were going to bleed for each other before they united. Number 11, Yoshihashi and Goto versus Dangerous Tekker, Zack Sabre Jr., and Tai Chi for the IWGP Tag Titles at Wrestle Kingdom 16 Night 1. Yes, a Yoshihashi match is this high on the list. The sky is exploding. Wait, maybe that's just the sun coming out. Yes, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Yoshihashi, he absolutely deserves to be put on here because, you know what, this was great stuff. And Dangerous Tekker, Zack Sabre Jr., and Tai Chi, they are a great tag team. I didn't know how well they'd work together, but by God, they did. This was great stuff. I enjoyed the hell out of this. And then we get to number 10. Robbie Eagles versus El Phantasmo. El Phantasmo, one of my favorite wrestlers of the year. Check out that list at some point. This was from the Best of Super Juniors, Night 9. Did not expect to enjoy this that much. Didn't expect to praise ELP as much as I have, even though ELP is a great wrestler. But my God, what great stuff. Good shit. Incredible chemistry between these two, and they had a great pace, with the great near falls and everything. Sure, maybe they did a little too much in the eyes of some, but you know what? It worked here, and they had the crawl. They had the crawl enthralled. They had the crowd enthralled. Now we go to number 9, Page versus Danielson 2. Electric AEW on TBS debut Boogaloo. That didn't make any sense. AEW World Title match. Winter is Coming was a great match. This to me was better. Now that one, 60-minute time limit, that was great. And they came back with this, and Danielson was bleeding, and Page beat him, and it was straight up, and it was great stuff. I argued that this was better because I feel that even though that match was so well worked, and I mean, Danielson's one of the few people in that company that could have gone 60 minutes and kept it good, and Page held up his end of the bargain. Do not misunderstand. But this was one of the better matches in Page's run, which is often forgotten about. And look, I'm not going to say Adam Page was the best AEW World Champion, but he had some good matches. And this was probably the best of them. That, and maybe you could say Winter is Coming, but I say this was the best of 2022. So well done. Great stuff. A great way to debut on TBS. And then we go to number 8. Punk versus MJF in a dog collar match at AEW Revolution. Okay, admittedly, I had to go back and watch this because I remember being a little bit critical about the length of it and some of the stuff they brought out, but I've kind of turned around on this a little bit, and I really appreciate it for what it is. A great contest with great energy, great storytelling, and Punk, doing what he needs to do against MJF, basically the old veteran, and doing what he needs to do to beat this young Punk down and teach him a lesson. It was good. The Punk MJF feud, in my opinion, is probably the best one that AEW has done. It's definitely up there. And this was a great way to they would have eventually revisited it had it not been for Punk's injuries and for the media scrum, and then Punk's aforementioned injury. Even if he had the first injury, he could have won the title back at All Out and then dropped it to him at Full Gear, and we wouldn't have had Moxley versus MJF. But damn it, we will never know. We were robbed. Actually, we got some great stuff out of this feud. Anyway, number 7, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shingo from the New Japan Cup semifinals. It's Zack Sabre Jr., it's Shingo, and shut up and take my money. New Japan already does, and I get great matches like this, even if I had to sit through some direct. This was incredible. One of the best New Japan matches of the year, but not quite the best. That comes up in a little bit. But my God, what a pace this was. What a pace this was. This was incredible shit. Because Shingo hitting like a tank, Zack Sabre Jr. bending him around like a pretzel. Great shit. Loved it. Really loved it. Go and watch this match. New Japan Cup semifinals. It's really good. You'll have to look on their website since I don't remember the exact date, but it was really good. Number 6, Swerve in Our Glory versus The Acclaimed. AEW All Out. Okay. The Dynamite Grand Slam one was good because they won the tag titles, and the one at Full Gear was good for what it was. Those two got a little bit messy. This one. Now, you could have called an audible and had it, but it was a great crowd reaction when they won at Grand Slam. But my God, this match had the crowd absolutely. They were on the edge of their seat. They were on the edge of, They were basically standing on their goddamn tiptoes. They were just ready. They were ready. They were molten hot for the Acclaim to win. And the Acclaim didn't. But this is one of the few times where I'm like, I don't mind that result. I would have called an audible. It all worked out in the end. This is the best tag match that AEW put on this year, in my opinion. I mean, you can fight me on that if you want, but I'm going to stand by that. This was great. It was well done. The Acclaimed arrived. The Acclaimed ever I scissor me, daddy. Yeah, sorry, that really sounds bad and I sound terrible. But this was the best of the bunch. Even though they had other good matches, I feel the first one was the best. Number 5, Jonah versus Okada. New Japan G1 Climax Night 13. I actually had to look at that because I can't read my own handwriting. And also, I'm just really still excited about all these great matches. The crowd, even though they weren't supposed to make noise, once it was obvious that Okada was going to lose, or looked like he was going to lose, he hits the Tsunomi splash. Sorry, every time I see that, I can't help but hear Wade Barrett say that. And he hits it. 1, 2, 3, and Jonah gets the biggest win of his career. I really hope that he stays in New Japan. He needs to go where he's happy. That's the bottom line. But he could make a killing in Japan and do some great stuff, and he wouldn't have to work nearly as often. And he would be able to travel back and forth from Japan, work the New Japan Strong tapings, work some indies or whatever. Let me tell you right now, Jonah is a massive individual in person. And I mean that with respect. This guy can move well. But Jonah getting the biggest career win of his career and the biggest win of his 2022. This is great shit. And it proves that when Okada loses, my God, it actually can mean something. So anyway, second best match in New Japan this year. Actually, third best. Because now we're in the top 4. Kenta versus Tanahashi no DQ match, U.S. title at Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. Let me just say right now, Wrestle Kingdom 16 Night 2, that is. I was scared to see Tanahashi basically have his knees evaporate, and I was scared to see what these two guys that have had injuries and are not nearly the athletes they used to be, but they turned it up and they did stuff, that high fly flow off the ladder. The furniture usage actually made sense. This was a good example of the no DQ stipulation meaning something. They were fighting over the U.S. title. They weren't fighting over shampoo, even though Tanahashi has glorious hair. Great shit. My God, it was so good. I need to go rewatch this. It was so good. So good. Number 3, Gunther versus Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship Clash at the Castle. Ouch. That's all I have to say about this. This was amazing. This was amazing shit. They clubbed the hell out of each other. This was better than the one they had on SmackDown. Even though that one was good, this was so great because the boom, the Wales crowd, they were just wailing. They were wailing on the moon and carried in a harpoon. And Gunther chopped in Sheamus, sold in. Oh my God, I don't actually have a finish for that. But the whole point is, it was insane to watch that. It was so good. So good. So good. Number 2, Shingo versus Okada IWGP title. Wrestle Kingdom 16, Night 1. Could Shingo turn back the challenge of Okada? No, Okada won. Of course Okada was going to win. But you know what? Shingo had a pretty damn good run as champion. It was really, really good stuff. And this is exactly what New Japan can do right. Big title matches, slugfest, boom. Okada selling like hell for Shingo, and Shingo doing great even in defeat. And then he went back to being on the pre-show. I believe the pre-show, the opening match or the pre-show on night 2, which was so weird for me. Damn, this was good. Damn, this was so good. Just great and hard-hitting. Number 1, though, Becky versus Bianca at WrestleMania 39 for the Raw Women's Championship. Show fucking stealer is what I remember tweeting, or something to that effect. And it was absolutely the best, of both worlds. It was Becky playing up being a heel, a desperate heel to turn back Bianca. Bianca not quitting, coming back from everything. Back flipping out, hitting the KOD, huge pop from that full stadium, full stadium. But it was great stuff. And Bianca getting revenge on Becky after SummerSlam. And there were people like, oh, Bianca, you said Bianca was buried. I mean, I don't remember if I ever said that. I said it was a questionable decision at SummerSlam last year. And I think they accidentally stumbled into that, but that arc ended up working out best for Bianca. Now she's in the midst of a nearly year-long run, and Becky putting her over, it meant something. It was the best match on, the WrestleMania 39, Night 1 and 2, in my opinion, even though you could argue Owens versus Austin should have been on here. for it being Austin's last match. It could have been an honorable mention. Becky versus Bianca is my favorite match of the year from WrestleMania 39. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ricklin. I'll see you soon.